G'day guys, welcome to episode 29 of a Doge's Breakfast. Woo! Episode 29! Hi James.
Yay!
I have James Morehouse, my beautiful friend with me. We're exactly 1 week away, James. Exactly 1 week
I,
away.
I walked into
This
work
time
and
next week, you will be sitting on this bed probably not on this exact bed, but sitting next to me, and we'll be playing a game, and it will
we're having a
be
beer,
having a
playing a
cider
game.
or a cinnamon whiskey, playing a game, talking shit, probably not getting any sleep at all, which would be good so we can sleep on the plane, and just carving up like the bosses that we are.
I walked into work this morning and I work with a guy, an Fijian guy called Jasmir, but I call him Jazzy Jeff. Anyway, he's a lawyer in training and he's a smart dude, but he's taken a real interest in what War Machine is, and I basically described it as like chess plus Age of Empires plus a bit of craziness, and he's really interested in it. And then, so he's been like, "Are you practicing, man? Are you practicing?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm practicing. I'm practicing so hard, dude. You know, I'm practicing Monday, Tuesday, weekend, some." And then I walked in this morning. I go, "Hey, Jazz, it's 1 week till I leave," and he just starts going, "You gotta switch the nads, yeah!" And we're both there, like, just be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." So yeah,
Jazzy Jeff and the
one
Fresh
week to
Prince.
go.
Does that make you the Fresh Prince horse?
No, I'm not black enough.
Whatever. What up? Yeah, 1 week to go.
Yeah,
Man, oh my god, one fucking
yeah.
week.
Um,
So the trip's all planned out. We've got a day at Universal Studios to kick us off. Then we're going to catch up with Jay from Chain Attack and see some of the sights of Seattle on the Thursday. And then it's straight into the tournament itself. We've got Friday Masters. Friday nights we might play the teams event.
Depending on how stuff we are. So for those of you playing along at home, Lock and Load is the 3-day convention, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the schedule is actually available online. The Friday day we'll be playing in Masters, which is very similar to CanCon Masters. 3 lists, probably 6-ish rounds. No, sorry, 4 rounds, and then they cut to a top 16, I think.
I think it's top 16, but don't if you win like some of the other events you get through to the Masters as well, or am I misthinking that? Is it just top 16?
I think the fact that neither of us are 100% sure highlights what we're focusing on. But
Yep.
like a lot of the cons over there, they will have 4 or 5 qualifiers. So if they have 4 qualifiers, they have 4 winners from each, or the top 4 from each go through to the final Masters 16 player event. But I'd actually have to have a look. But I thought it was Masters, and then they cut.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's top 16, but I couldn't tell you. All I know is that
So
on the second day there is a 16-player Masters tournament that people qualify for. So if James and I were fortunate enough to qualify, which we probably, I'd say we'd be lucky if we did because we haven't focused on it at all. But if we do qualify, then we'd probably give the teams event a miss. But if we don't make it through, then the teams event we may play. We'll play. Apparently that's a bit of a ball sack slapper because you play till like 3 o'clock in the morning. So
we'll be jet lagged anyway. I mean, it really honestly won't matter.
yeah. And then that's it. That's Friday, Saturday. We haven't got any other
It's really
plans.
Friday is a big warm-up day for us in terms of Masters. I mean, it would be great to do well, but honestly, I put Cassius on the table just to get a feel for him, and it felt horrible. So, I'd be surprised if we do well there. But anyway, the teams event, rest up Saturday, and then the main event Sunday.
Yeah, and we'll probably spend Saturday maybe trying to get some exhibition games with some of the guys, like maybe try and get a game with Fat Asian or Jay and Trevor and Scott from Chain Attack or whatever. Just try and get some games with those guys or Wicca Omnis.
Let's break it down. Evil.
We are removed from play.
If you took Circle to an army, which Veil would you take to the army?
Prime Veil with Epic Lilith. It's the best in the world.
So,
we'll probably do that. And I think I'm pretty keen to do a bit of convention walking with the camera in tow and get some footage of what's doing around the thing.
I've actually tossed up the idea of not even playing in Masters, just playing teams and some exhibitions.
Yeah, I still haven't made up my mind if that's what I'm going to do. I think I will play Masters just because it's the tournament, that they all love over there, but at the same time, I don't want to play my hand too early. I don't want to show them how good my Vlad list is and let everyone see it. And then I don't want to get other lists in my head, because I haven't played Butcher 3 for 2 months. If I start playing him now, I don't want to have my focus taken off the Vlad list. So, yeah, there's definitely downsides to playing in the Masters, but I'm not sure which way to go.
I think you're in a slightly better position for that in that you're taking Crix and Kador. If you play Masters, you're taking 3 Kador lists. You could just pull a Swifty and be like, yeah, I'm definitely taking Sorsha to RG and someone and Emilana. Whereas I'm a bit more like I'm literally taking 3 lists and I expect to definitely use 2 of them, obviously, and maybe a third. So yeah. Because at the same time, I wouldn't mind getting in 6, 7, 8 games with the 2 lists because there aren't that many secrets you're going to hide. So I'm seriously just taking the 3 lists and going to use primarily my 2 IG ones.
The one thing I'm a bit surprised about is that they haven't made us submit lists for this tournament. I was expecting us to have to submit lists a couple of weeks before or something. So if that doesn't eventuate, which it doesn't look like it will, it does mean that people will be able to go, okay, well, that guy's playing Kador. I'm pretty sure he's going to play this and this, or James is playing Circle. I'm sure he's going to play that Kruger list. So what can I take that can just fucking hose Kruger, just in case, type of thing. I mean, it's a minuscule chance, but when you're talking about this sort of level, you don't want to give any advantage to your opponent at all. You know what I mean?
I thought that even, for sure. I thought that even playing a couple of games with that list, they're going to say, oh, look at how he's doing that. Like, I made the mistake against Gigantor at the Super Series. I played him with Cassius, that game that you just mentioned in the previous episode. And
I did, yep, exactly.
It was a masterful Hellmouth sandwich because in Circle, Hellmouth is 90% a movement spell. And I revealed my hand way too early. I shouldn't have done it, and I only just crept over the line against him because I made a couple of mistakes, and he was aware of it, but he still did it.
That is such a good example because, mate, you beat him in 5 minutes. Like he looked like a stunned mullet. He had no fucking clue what was happening, and I was just sitting at the other table just pissing myself. And then we left.
That's so funny.
But you played him in the semi-final to get into the final, and you got so close to losing that game because he knew what you were going to do. So
that's part of what that Cassius list was built to do as well. It was actually kind of like the reason why you can take E Lilith to an event. Sometimes you need a 20-minute game to go and
have a refresher. Yeah, have a breather.
It makes me wonder how we ever did the 2-day Warhammer Fantasy Cons.
How did we play 6 games at 2 hours each?
How the hell did we even do that?
I know, but mate, some
and
games
you're playing the whole time.
Man,
blew my mind, anyway.
I just can't remember. I just could not visualize playing a game for 2.5 hours. Like, I mean, I've played War Machine games that are over in 30 minutes, and that's a fucking solid game too. Like, not just one guy gets killed and then goes away. Like 30 minutes of bang, 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 and one guy knows he's lost. So it's like, okay.
My last 3 games against Rob have been with that E Kruger list, and they have been so intense. It's been turn 1, I position such. Turn 1, he counter positions such. All right, so this is how the whole game is going to play out. As such, that's not going to work. I'm going to go all in the assassination here. I'm actually a 75%er here as opposed to a 35%er in the last game. I've got to get all this right. 20 minutes of death clock, perfect positioning. Game over. Done.
Awesome.
What? It's crazy. It's crazy.
So we won't make any calls until Masters. Like, we might get there and we might just fucking be totally vibing on it and just be like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's carve this shit up. Or we may just go, you know what? Let's just walk around and catch up with guys and hang out and all that sort of stuff. So we'll make that call on the day, I think.
I mean, the jet lag will kind of suck, but we've got 2 days to get over it, check out LA, catch up with some of the guys. I think we just make a call for sure. I'm really pumped to get some games in over there as well because I haven't been getting as many as I'd like to. I've still been playing a lot, but you've been averaging 1 a day basically.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel underdone. Like, I still feel like I've got another 10 to 20 games before I'd feel really confident. So I've got probably another 5 to 6 games happening in the next week before we go. So, and then I'm hoping you and I will probably play 2 or 3 games the night you get here, even though that'll take us through till about 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's fine.
I think, well, it actually works for us with the jet lag because we sort of want to spend most of the second half of our flight actually asleep because we arrive at 6 a.m. in the morning. So, we'll
Finally,
yeah.
speaking of jet lag, just for those of you playing along at home, they'll be streaming a lot of the IG finals. That will start at about 1 or 2 a.m. Monday morning. Is that right?
Yeah, so if you didn't catch it at the last bit of my last episode, I mentioned that, yeah, it's a public holiday in Australia. The Iron Gauntlet final happens on Monday morning, our time, which is a public holiday. So you'll be able to log on. The first game will probably start at 2 o'clock a.m. I think they're streaming 4 games, which is 1 from each round. So this is maybe a little bit arrogant of me, but I would be surprised if we didn't get on one of those games, purely because of how far we've travelled. Like, I think they would want to have one of us on there, you know what I mean?
For sure, and just waving that little Australian flag, Trent or James versus American flag, whoever. For sure.
Exactly, and have it be seen as an international event. So one of the European guys will get it, and one of us will get one as well, I think. So that'll be cool. We'll and hopefully we'll manage to scrape through to maybe one of the semi-final rounds, either of us, and then we can potentially be on another one. So yeah, 2 a.m. and then it'll probably be 4:30 or 5 a.m. and then all the way through to the last game, which will probably start at about 10 a.m.-ish, I think, probably.
Give or take, depends how much downtime there is between rounds, because they are still running a convention. So it could be 2, 4, 6, 8 a.m.
Yep. So you can start your Queen's birthday public holiday with a bit of big dinner on James Morehouse action in the final.
Just one last thing before we move on. We were talking about that. I said I would be happy with 2-2. Like, this isn't a normal tournament. This is like the guys are walking away from some of the guys are walking away from the ATC going, "Oh, I'm disappointed. I went 2-4 or 3-3." Those are some of the best players in Australia. We're going into one of the best tournaments in the world. I think I would be happy, possibly a little disappointed, but probably happy with 2-2. Very happy with 3-1, and obviously ecstatic with 4-0. But
if I got 2-2, I think I would call that a win. I would not surprise me to go 0-4. Maybe it would surprise me a little bit. I think I'm better than that, but I think I'm better than that playing against normal players. I don't know how I'm going to go against these guys. Like, every one of these guys you look down the list is just like fucking superstars of the game.
The only thing we can compare to, and it's not a great comparison, is how the Aussie teams did in Austria 2012. That's really the only thing we have to go, which is a bit of a shame. But at the same time, War Machine was quite new in Australia then.
Yeah.
We'd been playing for 18, 24 months by the time we got there. It's now been double that time, so another 24 months.
We've definitely got a lot better. The one thing I say about that, though, is we had so much control over the matchups that it's sometimes hard to get a gauge on exactly where you're sitting, because, like, we never put ourselves into a situation where we're going to be playing a tough game. It was, I don't know, man. It's just going to be as hysterical because we're just going to have no clue. We're going to know nothing about these guys and their style of play or anything like that. We're just going to have to kick ass and take names.
Probability has no memory, but after I said at the end of the Super Series, I managed to pull it out of the bag, that at a tournament like this, the element of luck required is so much greater, and I had it in spades. I don't think I can go 2 in a row, but fingers crossed.
It must be my turn, mate. Must be my turn. Although I got a lot lucky to kill Chris in that last round to actually win the ticket to Iron Gauntlet, so maybe that's me done too.
Maybe it's still your luck.
We're gone.
You and I playing. We both go 1-3.
We're playing for the spoon, mate. We're playing for the spoon. We both 0 wins after 3 rounds. You and me and the spoon.
It's highly unlikely that we'll both play if we're 3-1 or 1-3. It is the only way we will definitely play is if we're both total losers going into the final or total winners going into the final. That would be awesome. We're like, guys, we're playing each other. It's gonna be sick. Make sure you tune in. We're playing off the last place.
Yeah. Classic stuff. Classic horse.
Yeah. So let's just touch on a couple of things that have happened over the last week or 10 days or so?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll just quickly talk about the ATC, which was a really successful event. Unfortunately, neither of us were able to attend because of our lock and load commitments. But it was the Australian Team Championships. 6 states/territories in Australia sent teams of 5. Really, really competitive event. Very similar to the WTC in its format, although there was a couple of slight changes. How'd your team go, James?
They did us proud. That'll be our next episode. I'm very happy with how the guys went.
They,
Do you reckon,
they so
do you reckon that a Queenslander, like any Queenslander, has heard the phrase humble in victory, gracious in defeat?
Well, when you don't get beaten, mate, why would you ever need to be gracious? You know, like
Rob didn't need to be gracious.
Rob.
Hey,
No, Rob was.
we had
Rob
you
said
guys.
today.
We had you guys 6-4. You just won the important ones. That's all.
So I just want to point out that Queensland was in fact successful, as I mentioned in my last episode. We fought back from a fucking long way behind, scraped into the final by the skin of our teeth, and then put those ACT fuckers to the sword. Suck shit, James.
I'm so happy with the boys. They were definitely disappointed Sunday night, but Monday morning I think it really hit home actually what they'd done. We're the smallest state, by other than the non-existent three-headed Tasmanians and Northern Territorians.
You do have a fucking strong meta, though. You do have a fucking strong meta. Like, let's be honest. I mean, you guys went 5-0 in the normal rounds to get to the final, and that was a fucking momentously huge effort. There were so many times, like Western Australia beat Queensland, Queensland beat New South Wales, and then New South Wales beat Western Australia. So, like, just so many factors came into that, so many factors that allowed Queensland to get into the final, which, you know, like, the strength of all those metas was really on show, I thought.
For sure. One of the other things is, for those of you who don't know, it was a round robin, so you just play all the other 5 states once. We managed to get at least 3-2 or better in every round, but then factors. It was a 2-day event, back like at Warhammer Fantasy Days. That the fatigue kicked in, I think as well for our boys, especially considering Rob, who was the only undefeated player at the event, 6-0 WTC team. He was awake for 24 hours on the Friday, Saturday, and then only got a couple hours sleep Saturday, a couple of beers. Sunday morning, still got over the line. I'm really, the feedback from the event has been phenomenal. All I've heard is A triple pass, 10 out of 10 would bang, and I'm really keen to see where it goes next year.
Yeah, well, next year hopefully you and I will be involved, which would be really good. I mean, you and I did a lot of stuff in the background to actually get that event off the ground, and then neither of us could make it, so that was a bit disappointing because I was really looking forward to it. Team events is such a good time.
For sure, we had exactly the 2 prior team events, the 2 City of Origins, which was like 2 Sydney teams, Newcastle, Wollongong, ACT, and then generally like one at Campbelltown or whatever. I mean, those were phenomenal events, and ACT managed to win both of those as well. Our meta's doing fantastically, but those team events are really starting to take off, and it's a shame that Australia's so spread out because the ATC has just been incredible. So well done to the Sydney guys as well who took over the event, and the Good Games owner of the shop who's organising it in central Sydney, right next to the Harbour Bridge. He actually moved over to England and at the last second. Basically, he had a career change, and the guys really took the reins and did well.
To the Dogs. Yeah, but anyway, those guys did a fucking spectacular job. It ran like clockwork from what I can tell. Obviously wasn't there, but you know, everyone came back just so pumped up, so jazzed about the whole weekend. So yeah, I'm super psyched for next year. That's gonna be a great time.
It looks super intense as well. Like everybody, I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of the recorded games. And the ACT guys, like they did phenomenally to get 5-0. But as you'll see in my next video, they really did say, look, well, honestly, we're not the fake winners or anything. Queensland did an incredible job to come from behind. So that was really well done. We're both the off-field coaches, just sitting back there going, "Come on, boys!"
Yeah. I was given advice. I was talking to them the whole way through. I'd spent all this time doing preparation and planning with the guys, and but they were there on the day. They were the ones who got the job done. But yeah, I was living vicariously through them, just as you were. We were texting each other the whole time. It was fucking hysterical. Oh man.
I sent them. I sent them a message before the final. Boys, you've done us proud. Time for that one last hurdle. Use the boost, get through. This is the day. This is not the day. We will fight.
It is not this day. This day we fight. Yeah, no, I was doing shit like that too, man. I was like telling them about the Queensland teams in the State of Origin. They'd never say die, mate. They get through to the final fucking hurdle. Just give it everything you've got. All that sort of shit, mate. I was like Julius Caesar, just amping it up. It was awesome.
Awesome. I think the main takeaway message we need to take home, though, is that Simon is a shit player.
That guy could not organise his way out of a wet paper bag. So I just got a text from someone which is about the shirts. So we'll definitely have them by that time frame. So Fantastic. We should have all the shirts. Good. That makes me very happy.
ATC, anything else you want to touch on? I do want to touch on the fact that Simon literally asked Rob, what's the defense of that model?
Yep, pointing to a Cephalix model.
What is the defense of that model, a Stitch for all undead model, which was in fact a higher defense? So, okay, I'll take the one that's the higher defense and not living. Yes!
That is a solid gold investment of 3 focus plus a boost. Because you have to boost it, right? 4 focus investment to kill a Stitch Thrall.
I love how he didn't get a successful Excarnate Purge off all weekend. What was, in all seriousness, what was Simon's rationale for taking Crix? Because all I'd seen him playing was Signar and Legion in the lead-up. Yeah,
well, we couldn't take Signar because the format was single faction per player, per team rather, and he just wasn't enjoying Legion, and I'm of the perspective that if you're not enjoying something, then you shouldn't do it, and I prescribe to that theory with the guys going to WTC, James and I. If you're not enjoying something, play something different. Doesn't matter if you fucking practice it. If you get sick of it, just do it. So he wanted to play something that he was going to enjoy. He'd played Crix before. He likes Gaspy. That Scar list that he had is actually something that he developed himself that I'm going to steal and make better. I'm going to make it actually good. But it was a good list. It was actually a legit... Yeah, you can go and read about it in Simon's blog and shit. There's Icos with a Kraken with Epic Scar. It was pretty fucking good, actually.
He's trying to go for less models, higher armor, bit of a Signar matchup. I think at the end of the day, though, Simon is a Signar player. But I liked where he was going. Yeah, there's some okay ideas, though, Simon.
He played against P. Haley, against one of the Perth guys, Brayo, with that Scar list, and he won. Which is a fucking impressive effort for Crix against P. Haley. That's like the antithesis of what you want to play when you're a Crix player. Can't run, can't charge, just get shot to bits before you get there. But the Kraken, man. The Kraken makes a difference. Death Water Kraken. E-Scar, yeah.
Did he have Dara in that list?
No, that was Dara's in his Gaspy list. So, yeah, I told him that's how I'd change it. I'd put Dara in that list because I think Dara.
I'm a 23 Kraken is a guy.
Exactly. I'm a 23 Kraken every fucking turn. That's legit. And when you can protect him for another turn because of the feat, fucking serious shit, man.
Yeah, to an extent, in that you have to protect him by picking your opponent's models.
Of course, but the Kraken with Escort out-threats every other Colossal, except for Temporal Accelerated and Cray Stormwall. That's the only things he doesn't out-threat.
I guess you have to watch things like other opposing statistics raiders and Backlash. Anyway,
the Backlash is a factor. We're getting way off topic. It's a cool list. I'm going to experiment with it.
ATC, phenomenal. Well done to Jeff and Nathan and Jack, Lloyd and Ben as well for running it.
And Gigantor for bringing down the death clocks as well. So everyone chipped in and everyone made it the event that it was. And we are so excited to hopefully be there next year, if we qualify, that is, for our respective states.
Yes, sure. And also, we may qualify for Lock and Load the following year.
We may indeed. So, while we're on the topic of Lock and Load, we have one final thing to touch on briefly for this Hangouts. We're only making a short one tonight because we've only got a week to go, so we're just going to, just make it short. We'll have probably one more of these before we go, which will be on the weekend, but this final one I want to talk about is the god of Legion, JVM, the avatar of Everblight. So we have an inside man on the job, who's doing his best to get us as much information about other guys and what casters they're playing. We know now the two casters that Jake Van Meter will be playing, which is Epic Vale and Epic Thagros.
Epic Thagros seeing a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, well, our Leaps from our WTC team's playing him, so he's definitely coming up. For me, I hear that combination and I breathe a sigh of relief because there's no Epic Lilith. Was that your immediate response?
Exactly. I can get by, but she is one of the silver bullets. So I'm not sure how confirmed that is. I'm really hoping it's not a curveball, but I know the source and it's very reliable. And also JVM is the kind of guy who would probably say, "Hey guys, this is what I'm taking."
Yeah,
so,
he doesn't need to bullshit people. That's what I'm playing, guys. I'm not going to fucking lie to you. It's just I'm going to try and kick your ass, having all my cards on the table. So
for sure. I think that part of that. And coming from an Australian meta, I see Ethags as being an answer to waters that are popping up everywhere. But at the same time, I was like, not sure how worried I would be about for Trolls RG waters.
Yeah. It does. I mean, the Miserable Meat Mountain is a big deal over there at the moment, and I think you've got to have an answer to that. I don't know how likely you are to see that at Iron Gauntlet, though. As you said, it just doesn't feel like a list that you would take, unless you're trying to out-skew someone, like control the matchup by knowing what they're going to drop and then take your other list type of thing. I'm not sure. I can't see that happening. So, but maybe he's got other things in mind. Maybe that's for Signar or something.
I saw the combo and I definitely breathed a sigh of relief because it's a nightmare. And it's not that Etherags Evale is a weak combo. I actually think it's really interesting and good and different enough to be not a dark horse, but different enough to provide a different challenge at the same sort of level of competition.
Yep.
So I saw that, and I think I've got good indirect answers.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that is just straight up and down. I'm like, okay, I can drop Scar, and I've got a game. I could drop Vlad too, depending on where I'm at. Like if I'm locked into Vlad, it's the final. I'm playing JVM. I'm not out of the game, but Scar can handle that pairing. I feel like, and my feet.
Only needing to use each list once is a big leg up there. My question to you is that do you think that because let's just say that you look at your 4 lists here, so Vlad 3, Scar 1. Dags 2, Vale 2. If you look at those 4 lists in isolation and we give Scar a 7 out of 10, Evale and Ethags a 5 or 6 out of 10, and let's just say Vlad is a 4 out of 10, so you're not taking Vlad.
Yep.
So he goes, I see that you're taking P-Scar, depending on the build. Do you think that actually gives him an advantage, even though, let's say you have a 55-45 or a 60-40 matchup?
Yep.
That he can choose that a little bit?
Because he's been able to choose it. Yeah. So this is what I talked about on Chain Attack. Whenever you have control over the matchups, whenever you know without a shadow of a doubt what your opponent's going to drop, that's got to be advantageous for you. Unless that list is so good that both of your lists are still not great, and you're choosing the lesser of the two evils. So for that Scar list against Hordes, I genuinely think it's a strong answer with the Blood Hag and the Incorporeal guys, and then the Raiders and the like everything on my list can hit so hard from so far away, and then I've got a Kraken anchoring it, and Legion doesn't go great at cracking armor. That's where Thags comes in. Manifest Destiny. Has he got Dragon's Blood too? The one that gives +2 strength? Is that different Thags or?
P-Thags. His only damage fixer is Manifest, but he's also got the Naga Animus.
Yeah. Well, the Naga Animus doesn't actually help. The Naga Animus doesn't help him against the Kraken because it's either Feet or Derek Wraith that's giving him armor buff.
And that's where the Naga is the perfect specialist for him.
Correct. So yeah, I just feel like Scar is a great drop there, irrespective of what he chooses. So sure, he'll have a bit of control, and I would probably expect him to drop Thags so that he has a bit of armor cracking potential, so he can take out the Kraken. But I don't know, because he couldn't use an Angelius, could he? Like charge him with an Angel, gets a dice
does a
plus
quarter.
2, does a quarter. can't repulse me out of the way, so has to cop a free strike if he tries to go away. Seems bad.
Seems bad. Yeah, Ethag's feat doesn't avoid free strikes. P Vales does, but Ethag's doesn't, which is interesting. I think P Scars he drop. I guess the question is that, let's say it's P Scar versus either, he's got a choice of two, and let's say it's 60-40. Does his power over the matchup as a player, being able to say, I can pick some subtle nuances of I can do this here and I can do this here. Does that do enough to even it up to 50-50?
It probably goes a good way to helping the situation. I guess knowing what your list is capable of is such a big deal in this game. And when you know that your opponent is going to drop a list, you have an advantage because you are going to be able to look at which of your two lists has the answers, the most useful sort of tools for that game. So if he knows what I'm dropping, it's advantageous for him, and he'll be able to skew things in his favour. But specialists exist, which potentially allows me to change things back, maybe into my favour slightly. It's certainly tough for any Horde's army against Scar, though. Even if he's got, a way to snipe out the Raiders and all this other shit, still going to be pushing shit uphill, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a really cool combo. I really actually like what he's doing with it. Without even seeing the list, my answer to it was Kruger 2 is my Legion answer, aside from Epic Lilith, and he can still sort of play it. And those two lists say, okay, I've got a game, and Morvana's a good backup as well.
So you've got Morvana with the Wild Wrath. Do you think that's the right way to go? Because the Ravagers, they're actually fucking brutal against Legion.
Their small arms fire in terms of Deathstalkers, Striders, etc. struggle to get real return on investment against Ravagers. Raptors struggle to hit unless they've got a Nissa because of Fog of War. The Ravagers can then go in and just absolutely carve up, and they will get there with Morvana at a point between Fog of War and the feet. They'll get there. I had a game like that against Hayden last night, and I had Ravagers one-shotting cavalry, the Stormlancers, just because Power 15 boosted charges with rerolls is money.
Gonna happen, yep.
So I made one small change to my list as a result of an event a fortnight ago, and I hope it wasn't overcompensating for Rob in my meta, but I actually ended up going with the Pure Blood as a specialist for Morvana, so I sub out the little World Watcher, the Shaman for the Ravagers, and the Blackclad for a total of 9 points, and sub him in, and then Gobbers at the last point for sort of little fortress. But the Pure Blood being able to give the Wild Wrath Blessed is really big. It means that against Legion, so let's say he has Ethag, so he has one model that has +4 armor.
Yep.
You can actually ignore that +4 armor swing without casting Purification, which gives her a lot of flexibility.
One other thing about
unless the Carnivean casts the spell and that's just an enema.
One thing that I really enjoyed about the Pure Blood, because I played him a lot with P-Kaya, a teleporting Pure Blood, which goes forward effectively 10 inches, including his base, plus a 10-inch spray, can get some fucking very interesting positions to take out models that you might normally struggle with. And when you factor in Morvana's rerolls, a power 14, that'll kill a lot of shit.
A model that can occasionally be a nightmare, Gorman, that's a good answer. I again, with Morvana porting a beast up 10 inches, it's going to die. But there are ways you can mitigate that.
I mean, I used to do it with Kaya, and then I just teleport the guy back, which I imagine was pretty annoying playing against, to be honest. But
I've done that.
Woo, I just killed 3 of your guys, and you can't do anything about it. Woo! I'm going to do the same thing.
Well, you did it against me. We had a warm up at the Super Series finals, and you poured the Pure Blood up. He sprayed the Tharn UA, which makes their charges power 13 instead of power 15. Massive.
Big difference. So just on that Pure Blood again, very quickly, you could potentially protect him with Ravagers. Like, you could have your Ravagers jam so far up, and then the Pure Blood's behind the Ravagers. So even if they want to get to him, they've still got to get through Ravagers to get there, and then you can feed them back. So Like, just because you're porting him forward to get a key model doesn't necessarily mean that he's out of the game.
I totally agree. I didn't get a chance to actually try it out much, but Imlama is actually a good Legion matchup. But a couple of bits and pieces, and those two lists make me think she's actually a really good backup option, like a really good backup option. The fact that we only have to use each list once is really helpful for both of us, actually.
Yeah. Yep. All right, man. Well, we might call it quits there and just head off. We're both editing some videos tonight for some more episodes. So
was there anything you wanted to touch on from the last sort of 10 days or so that you've sort of had in your, because we haven't hung out in 2 weeks or so.
Well, James, the funny thing is, you and I haven't actually seen each other in the flesh for about 4 months since CanCon.
January, yeah.
So I'm just really excited to hang out, man. It's going to be a fucking great trip. Get to spend a week together.
I was talking about Google Hangouts. I don't actually want to see you. So.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to give you a ticket to someone else now.
Sick. I'll just touch on briefly. We had a good warm-up tournament the weekend before the ATC. All the ATC guys had a good hit out. I had to go against that Axis tier list, which is a fucking nightmare. And I got to put this boy on the table, which got painted up.
Oh, the Moonhound
Specialists. I would love to be running a list that is more Moonhound focused. Actually, I've got 2 lists, a Mozart and an Ikaya list, that I would love to be putting on the table right now, but obviously priorities. Yeah.
Hey, you told me today you're going to start Legion soon. Is that true?
I have a love affair with Legion. I miss them. That's all. No, not like. I'd love to dabble, but Circle are my babies.
I'm gonna dabble in Menoth. It's locked in. Made the call. Menoth.
After WTC or after Lock and Load?
After WTC. So I've still got another 3 months of Kador. 3 or 4 months.
If you can hold off that long.
It'll be challenging. No, I've still got unexplored design space in Kador. I've got I've only really played 4 casters in the faction. So
the same as Cricks. You've got a lot of Cricks that you can do.
Yeah, man. Same as Circle. When I take up a faction, I really get invested in certain casters, and I really try to raise my skill cap with them, and then I don't explore the rest of the faction enough. I get a good feel on the units and how they all interact and so forth, but yeah, there's a lot of casters that I could go back and spend a lot more time with. Like I never once played casters.
Yeah, you try to champion some of the lesser favoured things for sure.
See, someone told me the other day that it was about 5 months ago. They said to me that I'm trying to find a diamond in the rough, and I was sort of thinking about it. I don't think I do that. I think I just try to approach a faction with fresh eyes. Like I just want to not have other people's judgments clouding what I think. I just want to go, okay, well, what advantages does this model have that other ones don't? And like P-Kaya is a great example of that. It must have been the worst fucking list to play against, right? Because I would charge forward with Gedrix, I would charge forward with the Stalker, they would kill like 15 models, the Pureblood would get ported, spray out half their guys, and then I would teleport all 3 of them back, and Gators would run forward and you couldn't get to anything. And I do that for 3 turns, and by that stage, I've got 3 untouched beasts, and I've got nothing else against me. Like
your game against Blythe was the perfect example of that.
Exactly.
You do try to do that though. You definitely try to find a diamond in the rough. It's just a shame that you're not as innovative as someone like Jamie P.
Yeah, look, man.
Innovative lists.
If I could come up with a list like a heavy jack list with Butcher that had 3 jacks, that would be the highlight of my career. But mate, I'm not that innovative. I just gotta cop that on the chin.
I think you just approach it different ways. Anyway, we're getting a bit sidetracked. But
that's all right. It's good hanging out. No, I like looking at things with fresh eyes. That's what it is. I don't think it's necessarily trying to find a diamond in the rough. It's just trying to play the field as it lies. To use a golf term, play the ball as it lies. Just because people think it's a rough and it's a tough shot, maybe you can play a soft sandwich and it'll come out perfect. Roll up inside the flag.
Exactly. Just because it's underwater doesn't mean Scuba Steve can't have a crack.
Just Scuba Steve, mate. That guy got an itchy ear. These fucking headphones. Oh my god. Scuba Steve, that guy spent more time in the fucking water Then who's that cunt who went underwater? Jules Verne. Now what's Captain Ahab, the cunt who was in the Nautilus? That's how much time Scuba Steve spent underwater.
Cool, man.
I love you. I love you. You don't know who Captain Ahab is. Or was Captain Ahab the guy? Was Captain Ahab the guy who fought Moby Dick? Moby Dick? No, that was someone else.
Yeah, ask the guy who doesn't know. Yeah. Finally, nah, it's gone.
I love you.
That's what I was gonna say. Shirts. So did you actually want to just let people know what's happening?
Oh yeah, so had a bit of a heart attack moment today when I spoke to the guy with shirts. Apparently the place they got them printed at fucked it up, and they're going to have to reprint them. And that was going to take a bit of time, which obviously we don't have because it's 7 days away. But I just texted him earlier, and he responded with, yes, we will get them printed in-house, and we'll have them for you by the trip. So all back on track, all looking good.
Excellent. I am really looking forward to the whole trip and some time off work.
Oh, fuck, my
just
God.
play quality man dollies with my boys. But I'm really looking forward just to filming just random shenanigans.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I've been having so much fun with the camera, man. Like, last night at Good Games, I was carving everyone up. I was fucking having such a good time. Can you imagine us just walking around Lock and Load, just like getting our heads in things, filming stuff, walking around with each other, just being fucking spastics. It's just going to be such a good time, mate.
Universal Studios.
We're going to Universal Studios. Yeah, Universal Studios, going to do fucking rides and shit. I wonder if they'll let us have the camera on the ride, just be like, zzz, zzz. It'd be fucking awesome.
For sure.
It's going to be mad.
Oh man, I just cannot wait. I need this quality time to play some. Everyone at work's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm a professional nerd, alright? Shit to do.
Number one War Machine player in the country, bro. Just respect and recognise.
Alright, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I love you. Thanks, James. Thank you again, everyone, for all your support. We're going to keep hammering on that because you guys have been fucking incredible. So thank you. See you in the next episode.